This is a winter storm warning from the National Weather Service. Winter storm warning in effect. Heavy snow possible. Total snow accumulations of 14 to 24 inches possible. Accumulations up to 30 inches possible. Travel could be very difficult to impossible.
I'm Brent Gardner. I left skiing 22 years ago. Came back to it different. A career, a wife, kids. Life had happened. The industry changed. The mountains hadn't. What I found when I came back wasn't the sport I remembered. It was bigger, more interesting, more possible. Turns out my days on skis hadn't ended. I wasn't even close yet to the good part. And as it turns out, the mountains aren't just about skiing either. I'm not here to relive past glory. I'm searching for new glory. This is Savage Mountain Collective. So as I talk to you guys tonight, I am fresh off a front yard water fight. Now, this was not a fair fight. I don't fight fair water fights. That's just the rule of being a dad. So my 6-year-old and my 2-year-old ran back and forth as I watered the flowers and watered the children. Now, hopefully the flowers will grow from it, and hopefully it was a growth experience for my kids, but we had an absolute blast. Now, the whole neighborhood, I'm sure, thinks that we're running some sort of torture facility over here because the squeals of joy and laughter reminded me just how much fun the summer could be. And as much as I'm going to spend a lot of time on this podcast lamenting the fact that it's not winter and we're not all on the ski slopes, I'll have to admit we had a great time. And so just a nice evening here in the mid-Atlantic, a little bit of pizza, start of the warm weather, starting to see 90-degree days. And truthfully, moving into that next season. So with the winter time behind us and with summer upon us, we're going to have to start some new activities. And I have been getting geared up for what we're going to start this weekend, which is lift-served mountain biking. And as much as the Mid-Atlantic is not world-renowned for being a big downhill or mountain area, there are apparently some phenomenal facilities if you want to get started doing lift-served downhill mountain biking. Now, let's acknowledge where I have my experience. Much like backcountry skiing, I am an incredibly avid YouTube watcher of mountain biking. And I'm thinking to myself, how hard could this be until the pads that I ordered started arriving? And I'm realizing that, when you're younger and you're made of rubber, there's some consequence to running jump lines and flow tracks and riding around trees in the woods at a higher rate of speed than you've ridden on a bike in years. And turns out there might be some stuff I've forgotten about how to ride a bike well, but I've got the right equipment. I've got a great bike, apparently. I'm excited to try out the Rossignol Super Heretic. It is an enduro bike, which hopefully has got enough suspension to keep my 45-year-old bones from breaking just from hitting tree roots and whatever else we're going to find out there. But I'm really excited about this. So a couple of things that are worth talking through as I go through this experience of what you need to try this. And I'll do a report afterwards on how it goes. But I think anytime at any age, it's critically important that you find the right safety equipment. So I went on and checked into what it was I was going to need to protect myself from my first inevitable kinetic impact on a bike. And turns out there's some great companies out there making some interesting stuff. So I chose a company called Cased. I'm not sure whether or not it was the social media blitz that found me as soon as I pressed order on a bicycle that started to get to me, but it looks pretty comfortable. It seems pretty flexible. It's got a honeycomb material underneath what looks like compression shirts. And theoretically, this is what's going to stand between me and the ground, which I am hoping to not be casually introduced to this weekend. But let's be real, that's a very likely reality. Good news is, and we've got friends that we love over at Blister Plus. Blister is, for those of you who don't know, a review company primarily, but they offer an insurance product that is pretty phenomenal for anyone who does anything in the outdoor world. For under $1,000. I think it was like 500 and something. I'll add a link here in the show notes, but they offer a product that covers you for like 50 outdoor activities, and downhill mountain biking and skiing, of course, are some of those activities. I'm hoping not to use it, but I'm glad to have it because it is a no questions asked if you get injured doing these things, covering the out of pocket portion of your expenses. So even if you have insurance, it covers you. I think they do a really great job in a lot of ways. I know I mentioned when we were talking about skiing, there's people out there that are just doing great work when it comes to content, commentary, and reviews. Blister's one of those. So I don't mind plugging what they've got. But I strongly endorse a product that ensures that if you do find yourself in a tough spot in the outdoors, that, ultimately it'll help make sure that you don't have a massive cost associated with it beyond just healing up and getting better. I'm not sure yet about BOA lacing systems when it comes to ski boots, but I am 100% sure that when it comes to mountain biking shoes or biking shoes, that the BOA system is unbelievable. This is a system that laces up your shoes. It wraps around your foot like a boa. It's got a thin piece of wire that runs back and forth, but there are no laces hanging off. When it comes to things getting caught, whether you've got stuff along a trail or getting it caught in bike spokes or on your pedals, this is a place where I think BOA is a no-brainer. It just makes a ton of sense, and there's a couple of companies out there that utilize the BOA system for biking shoes. I've got a pair of 510s. They've been great. I've been riding the bike around in the morning, just trying to get some stamina up before heading to the park, and I gotta be honest, they're phenomenal. I would not ride a bike again without them. So, I think you can ride in whatever you've got, but if you're going out to get shoes, I would look into a pair that have the BOA system. So this weekend, I think we are headed out to Bryce. Bryce is a resort here in Western Virginia. It's about 2 hours west of Washington, D.C. And I'm going to be riding on a new product that I've chosen for the season called the Loam Pass, Loam Pass. And the Loam Pass is very similar to Mountain Collective or the Indy Pass when it comes to skiing. There's a number of resorts throughout the country where you get 2 days at the various bike parks, and it was a pretty good deal, and I think the great thing about this type of pass program is it encourages you to go out and try a bunch of different places, and I'm fortunate because here in the Mid-Atlantic, there's a few great places where you can go out and ride, and so for 300 bucks, just under 300 bucks, I think it's $295, you get access to a ton of different parks. And if you're somewhere else in the country, you have an opportunity to ride on this pass for 2 days. So excited to try that out this weekend at Bryce. We'll try and make it to Massanutten. And at some point, hopefully, if we can pick up some skill and some capability early on, we're going to head out to the big park out in Snowshoe, West Virginia. So, I mentioned that this is a new thing for me. I'm familiar with a lot of the mountains that we're going to be on from skiing, and I'm looking forward to seeing them in their summer garb. So, we're going to be getting out there and trying it. One thing is, for me in the ski world, I had a pretty good base knowing what I was supposed to be doing. And I was able to find some places online to be able to catch up on what's new, get tips and techniques. Man, the world of YouTube bike content is vast. So one thing I would benefit from is if anyone's listening to this, send me a suggestion of who the right person is to follow. Who's the right person to help get me ready to go out and try some of this stuff? You know, Over the next few weeks, we're going to be out there doing some rides. I'm looking forward to bringing some friends along with me. We've got some people who have got good bike history from like riding road bikes. I don't know if that prepares you very well for the mountain environment. I've got some friends who are longtime skiers who've done some mountain biking, and I'm hoping to meet some new folks out there who are somewhere on the journey of trying to enjoy the mountains in the summertime. So it will be fun. It will be exciting. We're working our kids up to be ready to do this, and they're going to probably do some riding around at the base while we go out there and give this a shot. So excited to get out there and get started this weekend on summer biking. We'll get back into the skiing when it's back, but in the meantime, we're going to find ways to enjoy the mountains. Little bit of news this week in skiing. Obviously, the year that we had was one that didn't make late season something that was possible everywhere. We saw during Memorial Day weekend, the last of the East Coast ski resorts close. Killington, again, the Beast of the East, made it all the way, and that's really exciting. Congrats to them and to their mountain operations team. Honorable mention to Black Mountain, who has come out of nowhere as not just a great place to go ski, but as a cultural hub for the independent ski movement. Seriously, congratulations to their ownership group, their new ownership group, to the folks at Indy Pass and to the mountain operations team at Black, who, in addition to just keeping skiing going all the way through this year, is innovating in new ways with what to do on the mountain during winter to help bring people there and not just make it a place to ski, but a community where people want to spend time with their friends and their families. So, congratulations to Eric and the rest of the folks up there at Black. I'm really excited for what you guys did this year and excited to see what you have next year. Out west, Arapahoe Basin, one of the last to close, but did close. Blackcomb has finally closed its doors. And though Lake Louise, after its second biggest winter ever, I guess they didn't get the memo this was a bad year to ski, is about to reopen. They are going to reopen June 20th through, I think, July 5th or 6th for some summer skiing. They're going to reopen the Strawberry Lift and maybe one other one for summer skiing. Really exciting stuff to be able to see Banff be able to reopen it. You will be able to play golf, ride your bike, and ski all in the same day in Alberta. So, really special year for those folks. And Mammoth is still skiing. They are in their second season. I'm sure things are starting to shift there, but I think a few days ago, I think they got snow. Crazy times, crazy year. Looking ahead, we're starting to see some of the announcements leak out online about some of the fall ski movies that are going to be coming out, and I'm getting pretty excited about those. Nothing to report yet since a lot of them are rumors, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of content comes out after a year like this where it was low tide. I'm sure these guys found some ways to continue to push the envelope and do really exciting and great things on skis. But yeah, I'm ready for September. I think that's when we're going to start to see some of them. Just want to quickly highlight a couple of things. One, on the Substack, we're going to be putting out some new articles this week, some reviews of places that we visited when we were in Salt Lake City for Memorial Day. We spent a little bit of time in Deer Valley's East Village, which looks different. The construction is full on. We're seeing a lot of not just real estate development, but commercial development in the base village. But one of the really exciting parts was seeing where they're starting to contour more of the slopes. It's hard to imagine after a year where they opened so much terrain that they're still doing work and opening more runs. But we got to watch them do some grading work up there while we were in Deer Valley. And it's pretty exciting what they're building there. Hopefully next year we get a better snow year and that side of the mountain is able to open more. But it's very clear that Utah has a crown jewel when it comes to infrastructure, and that is Deer Valley. Truthfully, the West, maybe. It's in contention, certainly in America for that. I think Whistler is probably still going to sit atop the crowd when it comes to it. But places like Deer Valley, places like Big Sky, making these massive infrastructure investments, if you're starting to think about where you're going to go next year, boy, those places have got to be at the top of your list. We spent a little bit of time at Snowbird, went to the top, 11,500. And I got to be honest with you, on Memorial Day weekend, we were watching skiers ski the Pipeline Couloir, and I was absolutely filled with raging jealousy. I left my alpine touring setup in Virginia, and that was a mistake that no one should ever make. It was a horrific thing to watch and not be able to participate in. There was excellent coverage up high. About the time you got halfway down the mountain, clearly the lower elevations had suffered from not having enough to really hold it out. Memorial Day weekend is traditionally their last weekend of skiing, but just given the year they had, again, for a mountain operations team to have kept the mountain as great as it was throughout the season that they had, big time kudos to those folks in Little Cottonwood Canyon. Ran up to Alta. We were in Alta just close to the end of the season, and I was pulling out my phone on the lift, dropped my Icon Pass down, saw where it landed, figured I would go back and pick it up if there was a little bit of snow melt, and the snow had definitely melted. I mean, the water was running down the mountain. It was clear again. Had you had your AT set up, you could have done some absolute incredible skiing up as you got to elevation at Alta. But instead, I went for a walk in the woods. And I have not gone for a walk in the woods in probably 20 years. I've walked near the woods. I've walked on paths around the woods, but as I was kind of breaking trail to get up underneath the chairlift where I had dropped that pass, it was a different experience. It had been so long, I really approached my time out there thinking to myself, like, are there bears out here? Are there snakes out here? For about 30 minutes, I was more concerned with like slipping and falling, and I didn't even notice that I was in the trees, how much snow was still there. But after about a half an hour, I reminded myself how much I just love being out there. And so I went in there looking for a pass that I did not find, but I definitely found how much fun it was to get back outdoors. And I'm not a hiker, haven't been, wasn't even back in the day, but I'm gonna fake it till I make it. So yeah, new goals, walk all over the Wasatch, and do the same thing here on the East Coast. It's definitely something that I have not availed myself of living here in the mid-Atlantic with the Shenandoahs and the George Washington National Forest close by. I'm gonna spend my weekends out there climbing over some mountains. So very exciting stuff. It's been a great week. Really enjoyed the opportunity to get myself ready to go biking. We're going to do that this weekend, and I look forward to reporting back on how it goes. So, if you have thoughts on things that I should be doing as a new mountain biker, or if you have places that I should check out, either here in the mid Atlantic, up in the Northeast, or back out west, share those and let me know. I'm also going to be looking for the right people to talk to about how to get better quickly. The best way to have fun is to know what you're doing. I know that there are people and communities that it makes sense to follow online to better understand what you're trying to do. And so send me some recommendations. Well, appreciate everyone for joining us here on episode 3. Episode 3 was a hard one to make. I've recorded a couple of different podcasts in the past week. I went to Reddit and looked up what percentage of podcasts never make it to their 3rd episode. And I don't know how correct Reddit is, but the number that was bandied around was 90%. 90% of podcasts never make it to their 3rd episode. Of the remaining 10%, 90% fail before their 21st episode. And so between now and ski season, we're going to try and make it to the 1%. So this is Savage Mountain Collective Podcast, episode number 3. Let's see if we can make it to the 1%. Thanks for joining us this week. Please, if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and hopefully we'll see you out on the mountain.